And welcome to a musical episode of Modern Life. We're talking about Mary Poppins today. And I'm here with America's favorite podcast co-hosts, Stacy and Tabby. What's going on?
Hey.
Oh my God.
Hello, Governor.
Mouse gallery over here.
That's why I live and breathe.
I was blowing the kite and it got caught on a nanny.
Mary Poppins.
All right, so we're talking about Mary Poppins today, but as always...
Mary Poppins Returns.
I'm sorry, yes. Mary Poppins Returns. Is that one of the titles of one of the books, by the way? Because there's like 7 books, right?
I actually, for once, did not read any of the
Oh
books
my
this time.
God.
That wasn't going to happen.
You know what's funny is actually the Emily Blunt actually based her character off of the books.
That makes sense. I noticed that.
Because
yeah.
she didn't want to do it. She's like, nobody can be Julie Andrews. So.
Huh,
She's
interesting.
a little more hardcore, hardline. I have seen the... one of my acquaintances played the little boy on the Broadway tour thing, or the Mary Poppins tour, so I saw it when it was in Denver. And the Mary Poppins in the musical is more like the book, where she is more hardcore and more strict and more like that. So, but I haven't read any of the books.
Interesting. As always, before we get going, we're going to do some Modern Life thoughts. Jibber jabber, world famous segment. What's on your mind, guys? Guys, is anyone awake? Jesus Christ.
Am I going first?
We just got back from the gym, all 3 of us, and I think my co-hosts are asleep at the wheel right now. Were you about to say something about the gym before we started, Stace?
Oh, I don't remember. What
Oh, we don't move our arms?
Oh, you guys are ridiculous when you guys go on the treadmill. Like literally. I know you're German, but you have this like
robots.
You guys are like complete robots. Doot, doot, doot. But you don't get any of the exercise of like actually moving. Like that's the whole difference between the bike and the thing. You guys were talking about how
the bike and the thing.
The bike and the treadmill. You guys were saying that like the whole purpose of the treadmill is you get like more of a workout with all your body parts. Yet you guys literally walk with your hands straight down and like this.
Before you met my brother, he was so bad that it was like a topic in the family discussions.
That's why I was telling Stacey this.
like when he was walking, his neck would not move and his head would not move. It was like, yeah, it was like the Terminator.
Well, just for the record,
German
you're kind of guilty of it too when you're on the treadmill.
Wait,
yeah, your hands don't move on the treadmill.
No, like you literally you guys need to get your hands into it. Come on.
Why?
Because it's better for it's more of a workout.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that your modern thought?
That's my modern thought.
That's it?
Yeah.
Wow. Way to be prepared. You just pulled that out of your butt.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
No, that wasn't going to be my modern thought, but he brought it up, so I was going to go off on it.
Okay.
Figured save this gold for the podcast.
Woohoo. Okay, so I'm currently, nothing's going on with me. I'm almost done reading Villette by...
You say nothing's going wrong with you?
On with Me.
Oh.
By Charlotte Bronte. And
okay. English, please.
Nobody's laughing at that.
I don't. I don't.
Okay, so I'm not...
I don't do book jokes.
Charlotte is the true goth of the Bronte sisters. The rest are Hot Topic fakers. They're a little too edgy and over the top for me most of the time. Charlotte is the one who wrote Jane Eyre, of which, if you watch all the movie versions of that, it would take you your entire lifetime. It has to be like on the world record for movie versions based on a book.
Not Jane Austen?
I don't know. There's a lot of versions of Romeo and Juliet too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think they compete right there. They really do.
Okay, so the heroine, and there's a lot of things in this book that it's not one of my favorite books ever, but I am enjoying reading it. Their obsession with abusive heroes and love interests is a little weird to me, and I can't get into it. But the heroine in this, Lucy Snow, is just savage and brutal and witty all the time, and it's such a joy. So I'm just gonna read you this one part. She has this like sassy, like really flirty friend, and the friend goes, how do I look? How do I look tonight? And Lucy Snow says, as usual, preposterously vain. And then it's just freaking hilarious to me.
I'm like, I'm missing something.
And then a friend goes, well, I wouldn't be you for a kingdom. And then she goes, what?
Tommy's losing.
And the friend's like, what would you give to be me? And Lucy Snow says, not a bad sixpence. And she's like, oh, you don't think so in your heart? And she goes, no, for in my heart you have not the outline of a place. And it's just such a sick burn. It's so fantastic.
I'm not laughing at the book. I'm laughing at how funny you think it is. You're like a kid. You're like reading. You can't even contain. You're like,
Oh, man. Maybe somebody will find me through this podcast and be like, yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, you need. I'm not the right audience for you. I'm sorry.
Not even the language is getting to you and touching your
oh man
soul. What's your modern
I
thought?
don't have a whole lot of a modern thought. I did watch something interesting this morning that I didn't know was a thing. In Thailand, they have there's a ton of homeless people, and they make their own little like you know those Wild West railroad wagons, those little tiny where you would like one person would push down and then the person on the other. It's like that size, and they put all these people on there, all these morning and evening commuters. Like it fits like maybe 6-8 people, and then they just push these carts just with their feet, like a one of those scooters. You know, you have one foot on the cart, and they're pushing with the other foot, and they push these railroad carts, and they like push people to work. Except for it's on railroads where trains are still going as well, so then sometimes these people get like run over by trains because the trains just like honk, like get the hell off the railway, but they like
There's
won't
like
stop.
deaths associated with this?
It's like I'm like,
Well,
well, how
I
is
don't
this a
understand.
thing?
Why is this a thing?
I don't know. That's like the video didn't go into it that much. They interviewed one guy and he's like, well, we like taking. It's faster and more convenient just to hop on one of these than it is to take the train, and it's cheaper. They pay these people like 2 cents per kilometer or something like that. And they're like, oh, and it helps the homeless people out and blah, blah, blah. And these homeless people then, these little wagons are so light, you can just like lift them right off the railroad. It's just like made out of little pieces of wood. And then they sleep on those at night. And then the next day they are just commuting people on the railways again. It's just like very strange. I didn't know this was a thing. But I guess just I think it was like CNN or whatever. They did a video on it because I guess just a few weeks ago, one of these people got run over by one of the trains, especially because there's a few segments where there's bridges over water, and so then when the train comes, you can't just like hop off the railway real fast. Like you gotta jump in the water or just keep going and hope the train stops. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting.
Oh, that's dramatic.
And the homeless people they were interviewing, they were like, yeah, it's really hard and my body is hurting all the time, and especially when I have 6 people and I have to push the rail cart uphill, and I'm like, how do you even do that? Like,
Because they do it every day.
I guess it's just crazy. I don't know, so that was interesting.
So of all of us present,
Yes.
this Mary Poppins original is my brother's favorite Disney movie.
Why'd you have to tell everybody?
He's also the only one who has not seen Dick Van Dyke in real life.
I have.
Wait,
He's
when did
amazing.
you see Dick Van Dyke?
Oh, I'm gonna tell the story right
Wait,
now.
what? What do you mean?
You don't remember this. My brother doesn't have a very good memory. So we all at separate times worked. I don't either. It runs in the family.
Wow.
I don't think any of us at this table
Sorry, I
do.
don't
No.
remember every story you tell.
I'm gonna tell it
You're
right
not
now.
that important.
So we worked at this place in Malibu, the same place, but not at the same time. So
Yeah.
Stacy and I and Dick Van Dyke used to frequent that
I
restaurant.
think he still does. He
He
lives.
still does.
He
He
lives
lives,
right
like,
there
in
now.
a-
Yeah,
right
so
down the
Stacy
street.
and I have seen him there. I saw him there like within my first week. My brother had worked there for like a longer time.
I worked there for over 3 years and never
I
ran
never
into him.
ran
and
into
literally
him.
everybody else was like, "Oh yeah, he was here this morning. Oh, you just missed him." I'm like, you kidding me?
And within my first week of being there, I saw him, and then one of the employees who knew how much you cared about this was like, "Oh, you need to text your brother right now." And so I told you that I saw Dick Van Dyke,
okay, I
and all
remember
you
now.
texted me was "fuck you."
But you didn't say hi to him, did you?
He was just leaving. I just said
dude,
like
I would've
goodbye.
just-
You would have freaked
Dude,
out.
he's not gonna be around that much longer.
I
would've
know.
and I know he's always super nice and always
He's the
happy to meet
biggest
people.
smile.
See, now I did talk to him, and he is the nicest
Yeah.
person on the face of the earth.
I mean, you kind of have to be when you're Dick Van Dyke, but yeah, he has a great smile. He's an excellent human
The
being.
thing is, I know what gated community in Malibu he lives in, and I do have a real estate license. So if I really wanted to, I could like get into the gated community and like knock on his door,
Stalker much?
which I would of course never do. But I'm just like, yeah, I never ran into him for over 3 years of being down there, and it's upsetting.
I'm sorry, honey.
Upsetting. You know, he has like a little local a cappella group. Like he still sings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's got these guys.
Fun fact, guys. Do you
Wait,
know
so
that
why aren't we going to
before
that?
I don't know.
this movie,
We should look.
before the Mary Poppins movie, he never sang and danced. He learned how to for the movie. Did you know that?
I think I did know that.
Yeah.
But then he did a bunch of other movies where he
No,
sang and
after
danced, right?
after he learned for the movie, he was obsessed with it, and then that was it. Like that started his career.
Started his career.
Well, not started his
Oh,
career.
for some reason I thought Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was before Mary Poppins, but that
No,
would
I
have
think
been
so.
wrong then.
No. I'm almost positive there's a Ralph's, which if you're not in California, is Ralph's only in California? They were not in Colorado when I lived there.
King Soopers version.
No.
There's a big
Uh-huh.
grocery store chain down there in Malibu, and I was in there one time, and I'm almost positive, right as I was leaving, he passed me by, but I'm only like 60%
It could have
positive.
been a dream.
I'm like, I think it was
Highly
him. I
possible it was
don't.
a dream.
It
A
happened so
vision.
fast.
A fantasy.
And then when I turned around, he was gone. But that's the close. That's all I got. So we gotta go track him down. All right. Obviously, there's gonna be spoilers.
Yeah.
So
All
yeah,
right.
deal with
Heads
it.
up.
Tubby, what you
Spoilers.
got?
Gonna summarize it. Okay, so Mary Poppins Returns: Revenge of the Nanny is it's the sequel to the 1964 Disney film about a babysitter who gaslights her charges and enthralls them with her witchy magic. She visits the next generation of Banks kids so one can have a better relationship with his kids.
She does what? She gaslights her what?
her
What did you-
charges.
Oh,
What's that mean?
yeah. What? What is that sentence?
What do you mean?
She gaslights.
You don't
her
know what
charges?
gaslighting is?
What do you
Oh.
mean her charges? I'm so confused right now.
Charges are what they call like kids that you're in charge of.
I've never heard that.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's an actual babysitting term. But I have
My
not.
charges.
Sorry.
You're using vocabulary above your
2019,
brothers.
right?
So she makes sure one can have a better relationship with his kids, and then the other can get laid with a lamplighter. The family comes up against a businessman who knows. You just know he's a baddie after like 0.01 seconds of introduction.
Colin Firth.
They struggle to find proof of their father's company shares to save the family home, and when they do, they have to Nathan Drake it up Big Ben, and then they almost there's the evil toffee snacking Mr. Darcy that they almost hit in the head with a kite. Then in the end, everything
Wait,
is
that's.
good.
I thought that was the evil guy you were just talking about.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they like bang his window in with the kite.
They sure do.
Then there's the balloon lady, Mrs. Potts. Bold colors are back in fashion, and we never find out if the dad can resume his dream of painting. And that's the end
Oh
of
no,
the
he
movie.
does. No, he says it right before the end. He goes, "I'm gonna paint those or something."
Yeah, but is he gonna make a
He goes,
living
"Can't
off
wait
of
to
that?
paint them." No, he's not.
In the Great Depression?
No, he's got so much money now. He can just do whatever the hell he wants.
You
He's
know what I
got.
just realized? Mrs. Potts is Angela Lansbury, which is the same
Also,
person who played the voice of Mrs. Potts in Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah,
Was
I
that
just
supposed to be a play?
Said that.
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Did you say that?
Yeah, I just said that.
Whoopsie.
Wait, hold on.
She was
Just to
also in
skip to the
Sweeney
end real
Todd.
fast. Mr. Bank Manager Dick Van Dyke goes, "That Tuppence is now worth far more than that banknote that you have with us." And the banknote, if you saw, was like £20,000. He says it's more than enough to pay the house off. So I think Michael has so much money now. With that and the banknote, he can just do whatever the hell he wants. That's why they're like, "Can we go to the park?" He's like, "I don't see why not." He's like, "I got financial freedom." Woo!
Oh my god. I need to take your happy pill.
So £1 is 240 pence. he would have needed a 75% return per year. Also, so his reaction just proves to me that he should not be a banker. He's obviously not suited to this job because he does not understand how money works.
No, of course. I'm surprised he's a teller in the first place. He's like an artist. Like, I don't see him being good with numbers.
Because when Dick Van Dyke goes, oh, you had the tuppence in the bank, he's just trying to be nice because Michael took those tuppence back and ran out of the bank and started a riot.
That's the impression I got when he said it, right?
But he doesn't even remember that. His memory is so bad. He's like, oh, yeah, I did that. That's right.
Yeah, and that's when I walked out there. I'm like, wait. I'm like, did that tuppence end up getting deposited? And then we watched on YouTube, and no, he snags the tuppence. I'm like, so yeah, I think the bank manager's just being like super nice, and he's just giving him a bunch of money. Which I guess is nice. I don't know. Where's he getting the money from? There's actually, when you look this up, like what would that tuppence be worth today? There's a surprisingly large amount of articles that break this down. There was so many articles that have investigated this. And the best case one I found was on, I think it was 538.com, which is just like nerdy statistical website. They said best case scenario, it would be worth, like in US dollars, like $16 now.
Now or at the time?
Like 4 years ago when the article came out. So in 2014, it would be worth $16. It's a tuppence, which, by the way, can we talk? What did you say? 240 tuppence equals a pound?
Yep.
What the hell is that? I didn't know that's a thing when I looked this up.
At the time, yeah.
How about just like 100 cents equals $1, right? That makes, I don't know what these British people with their weird measurements and currency, and who comes up with this crap? 240 tuppence is a pound. It's just the most random thing. Stacey, you still awake?
I feel like I'm remembering something from the original movie, so let me just look at it.
Like what? Let's help you. What you got?
Well, I know he takes it back, but then I feel like the ending, he ends up giving it to him, but I'm not 100% about it, so I didn't want to bring it up until I was sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They give it back?
I feel like...
Oh, he gives it to his dad, right?
Yeah, like I feel like in the end,
after he gets fired, he gives it
like,
up? I think you're right.
But does the
So I think you guys are, like, but I can't remember, so I was going to verify before you spread out.
Either way, there's no way in hell that tuppence is worth anything. That's especially since this movie is like during the Great Depression era, and so whatever it's invested in would be worth nothing at the time anyway.
That's right. Yeah, he gives it to his dad. I remember that now.
That's what I'm saying, and I think that he ends up putting it back in the bank.
Anyways,
also then what is that saying? That Mary Poppins was wrong and you should put your you shouldn't feed the birds?
I thought about that.
I don't know. What does that mean?
So then if he would have fed the birds with the tuppence, he would have never had the money that he has now in Mary Poppins Returns. So yeah, Mary Poppins was wrong, right?
Well, I don't think that was really Mary Poppins' point in the first place, right?
I know.
Like it's
just,
like
I'm messing with
it's about
you,
the relationship.
Tuppence.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So the first thing I said after we walked out of the movie theater, I was like, I thought you said Lin Manuel Miranda had a good accent. and
I said compared to Dick Van Dyke, yes. Oh, the London sky, Mary.
To be fair, he makes fun of himself, and he's completely aware of how bad his accent is.
I'm not a Cockney accent expert, so I'm just like, is that bad? I have no idea. I don't know.
My problem with Lin Manuel's performance in this was...
Here we go.
He is doing a theater performance.
You're going to get so much hate mail.
Oh, no, he's like a good guy, but there's a lot of face going on. There's a lot of expressions. There's no subtlety, which you have to do when audiences are watching you from like 50 rows back. But it didn't work for me in this movie. It was just too much.
It's funny because they did that in the first one. Like over the top facial expressions, like
Dick Van Dyke, you mean?
Yeah,
yeah, he's very over the top.
I feel like that's part of the characters in the movie. Like I feel like it's part of the whole idea of when I watch that movie. It's like the only time I ever get like giddy like a kid. Like, and I was so amazed that movie was able to do it again. I literally felt like I was a kid coming out of that movie again.
Same.
Yeah, and I just think that's part of it, like the whole over the top, like
I had this stupid grin on my face for the entire 2 hours.
Yeah, the entire 2 hours, and it lasted a good hour afterwards too.
And I also my eyes were slightly wet the entire time because I felt like I was transported back to childhood.
Really?
I was like in that world again. It was like
when
absolutely
Dick Van Dyke
fantastic.
came on screen and he's like trying to dance. And
Oh,
like,
it's awesome.
I like
It's
cried a little bit at that.
fantastic.
Just not at what was happening in the film, but just it's Dick Van Dyke and.
I just think they did such a great job of capturing it again, and I think that over top is what they were looking for and what they expected.
It didn't work for me, I guess.
Be interested to know because Lin Manuel Miranda, yeah, he is totally from theater background. I don't even know what other movies. I think he's done one or two other movies, maybe.
Has he?
This is the biggest movie he's done, I think, by far. But yeah, you're right. He comes from the theater background, and when you have Emily Blunt next to him, who's a master
I think
movie
that's
actress
what
at this
was
point,
throwing me
and
off.
she's just so insanely subtle and quick with all her little
Calculated
things. But I didn't mind at all because it is like this over the top world. So I think Miranda's way of acting just fits right in that.
I feel like that was the same like kind of dynamic that they had in the first one too, where like you had Andrews who was like very precise with everything,
true.
and then Dick Van
Goober
Dyke who was
Dick
like,
Van Dyke.
"Woo," you know.
Yeah.
I just feel like that was part of their
Yeah.
relationship was just that.
Like
that
it took
need
you
to
out of the
have
movie, you mean, or what?
Yeah, because Dick Van Dyke for me is like goofy and has more of like a comedy thing, whereas Lin Manuel's it's just too much. And also we didn't grow up with this terrible accent because we know all the songs in German and we saw it dubbed, so I didn't even know Dick Van Dyke had a terrible accent until like a few years ago. So yeah, does anyone have any feelings about the paintings in the beginning credits?
I knew you would love those. Stacey and I, because you know, so Stacey and I watched the movie, and then I watched the movie again with Tabby last night. So I've seen it twice. But when Stacey and I were watching it, we just both said that to each other right away. We were like,
"Oh my God, Tabby's gonna
love these things." Like,
that's not the type of style that very like. It fits in with the time where it's very like post-impression-y, broad strokes.
yeah, but that's the same style from the original movie. You know that, right?
Yeah.
No,
what it is.
I'm not saying it's good and it fits the movie, but like just for me personally, that's not my favorite type of art. But I thought it was cool that they put that in there.
No, and that's all.
Sense.
I knew you would appreciate that it's in there. I don't know if you saw it. I watched the credits a little closer watching it the second time, and right after it lists all the main actors, it says art by and inspired by. I don't have his name. I didn't have time to do as much research as I wanted to, but the guy who drew all the original stuff from the first movie.
Nice.
So there must have been some of the art that was never included in the original movie that they put in there, and then also it said
Added more.
inspired by. So then that same style, which I thought was
interesting.
Cool. But I'd like to find out, like, what are some of the art he made back when the first movie came out.
I would like to see Tubby watch the first one again in English.
In English, yeah. I don't know.
And then
have you never seen it in English?
I don't know.
No, and then compare the two, because I'm going to tell you right now, like, I feel like your reaction, because even that 5-minute clip that you watched in the just like half an hour ago of the scene with the Tuppence, and you were like, this is so over the top.
No, but like in a good way. I know what the movie is.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying you don't, but I just feel like you would have a different impression now than you did back then.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Especially when you're looking at it from like an analytical point of view versus just watching the movie for enjoyment purposes.
Can we talk about how perfect Emily Blunt is in this movie?
Emily Blunt's perfect, period. First of all, woman crush over here on her.
She just slaughtered that.
She slaughtered it.
When I heard they were casting her and Lin Manuel, as the sidekick, I was just like, yeah, that's perfect. Like, I don't know who else could get those roles. I'm like, that's perfect casting.
I mean, her like descent. We saw this in the trailer when she just descends from holding on to the kite, and you're just like, it just stuns you.
She looks the part. She's the way she talks, just her manners. It's just Mary Poppins.
And she has
like,
the funniest
perfect.
lines in the whole thing.
She's not a bag of flour.
Like when they have all the like fun times, and then the couple like drive away on the bike, and she's like holding on to him, and then she turns around and she goes, "That's enough." Like that made me laugh.
Yeah, she's got the zippy one-liners.
Playtime's over.
I actually thought the movie as a whole was really well cast. I don't know. I know you don't like what Michael.
No, what's his name?
He just
the
won
actor.
the Golden Globe.
But
there.
he's never appealed to me as an actor, so this isn't.
I'm
like,
not a
I've
huge
just
fan of him, but I'm
decided
like,
his,
yeah,
but-
like that's Michael. Like I
Yeah.
thought he was great.
Yeah, I think
I
they
don't
did a
know.
nice job.
Yeah, and just as a whole, like every actor, I don't know. I just thought it was fantastic.
It was amazing.
I love the scene of Mary Poppins gliding up the stairs in the background. It's just that makes me laugh, and then
And the maid is
the
just
maid's like
she
chill.
knows what's up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that
She's
which
like-
I really like her in this movie.
Yeah, she was great.
Excellent.
I think my favorite character though is like her umbrella, the little bird that talks.
Which looks very different. It used
Does
to be
it?
like these more bold colors. I remember the colors being different, but
I just after she glides up the stairs and the umbrella starts talking, she goes, "I should have left you downstairs," and he goes, "With the canes? Oh no!" I was just something about that joke. I was giggling for like 5 minutes in the movie theater. It was so good. But I'm glad you bring up the colors because I thought this movie. I don't think compared to the first one, completely different. Like the colors don't pop as much. It's definitely much more muted for a lot of the movie. Like
What?
especially the
Really?
first half. You don't notice that? The first half or first third of the movie, it's like super kind of gray,
browny.
flat.
I don't know, but the kid has that bright green jacket. Mary Poppins
Yeah,
has
but
her
the
red
colors
hat.
still don't really pop all that much.
Yeah, but that might have to be done with the filming aspect
No, well,
because
hold
aren't
on.
they added in later? Like the color isn't that kind of like touched
Well, and
up
I
later
think
in
some of
those
it's on
films?
purpose because what I noticed the second time around is the first third of the movie, it's like really muted, and even like when Mary Poppins comes down, like the sky is still really gray, and her colors don't really pop out that much. And then as things start getting better, like everything starts lighting up a little more,
You know,
the
I
colors
read
start popping, and then you have all the scenes at night where so everything gets kind of dark again, and then at the very end of the movie, it's just you have the balloons and you're on the lawn, and it's just like bright and colors everywhere. And it just seems like it's going through these waves of different color palettes. Or
I feel like I read something about that being on purpose because
No,
in the
and
beginning it's
that's-
supposed to be winter and then Mary
Right.
Poppins comes and it turns into spring or something
And
like
watching the second time, I just noticed like, okay, so there's like a pattern to the way this is going and what the mood of the movie is and what's going on. I don't know if you noticed any of that.
Yeah, I think those were the only costumes I didn't enjoy were the ones at the very end. Because especially the sister has like a red hat and then pink pants and then it's just every
Oh, like the pink
color.
hat.
Like it was too much. I did not enjoy that. But besides that, all the costumes were absolutely incredible. Like the kind of Wolf Among Us ones where everything's drawn on.
Yeah,
like
when they're in the
ones.
porcelain bowl and
Yeah.
some of it's just regular clothes, but then some of it is like flattened out, like their bow ties and stuff. It's
like
just
drawn
kind
on.
of drawn on the shirt. Yeah, that was
And
fantastic.
Mary Poppins like polka dot gloves.
And I
the
loved her outfit.
swimsuits.
Yeah. And I love her outfit when she's doing at the concert hall when they're in the ceramic bowl.
Yeah,
She gets
yeah,
the black hair bob cut and like, I
Yeah.
don't know. That's fantastic.
And I
too.
looked up the costume designer Sandy Powell. She's won 3 Oscars already, and she has
Oh,
a lot
wow.
of pure drama background. So she did The Young Victoria, which is another excellent Emily Blunt movie, even though Emily Blunt is a little too tall to play Victoria, but whatever. She also did the costumes for The Favorite and Cinderella, and that one again is... If you have ever seen it, like Kate Blanchett's costumes, like as the evil stepmom, she just looks on point all the time.
Yeah.
But then the actual dress, and I feel like they do this a lot, and that might just be the producer or Disney reaching in and being like, no, we need the signature dress to look like this. Because when Cinderella is like spinning and spinning, and then you see the final form of this blue kitschy dress, I'm like, that's it, keep spinning, make it better. It's just
Yeah.
like no
Interesting.
finesse. It's just like a blob of blue with like plastic butterflies glued onto it, and I'm like, why? But so that for me was just the end of this movie when it was just all the colors and it was
Okay.
too overwhelming
much.
because I felt like the balloons were already giving it that
Right.
that kind of pop. So, but besides that, it was really excellent.
I thought it was interesting, and I don't know if this is. I'm sure it's based on stuff that happens in the books too, but this movie really doubles down and it's mentioned multiple times about just how the adults forget, and it just really drives home that point. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah,
I
but
just thought that was
the kids forget too.
I
in
guess
the
so. I just thought that was
original.
I don't know. I just thought that was like an interesting way to go of like, because I didn't know how, just from the trailer, like going into the movie, I didn't know. So if Mary Poppins Returns, like, are Michael and his sister, like, do they think everything was real, or like I don't know, but it doubles down on like, oh no, that wasn't real, and they forget all this stuff.
Yeah, but then
and I
at
don't
the
know.
end they all fly. So
Yeah, and
You
well,
know.
no, and they're like, it was all real. But then she's like, well, they're going to forget. And I'm like, are they going to forget they flew over the park with balloons? Like, how do you forget that?
and also to my point, if like they're never gonna get that bowl again, which you say they are gonna.
They're going to
return.
get the bowl.
They're gonna forget to get the bowl. They're
All
gonna
right,
be like, "Where's
Stacy,
this hidden alley with the topsy turvy lady?"
tell me things because everyone forgets. They're going to forget about their mother's bowl, too. I think that's
How will they find the
nonsense.
door when
I
even
feel like
Lin
Mary
Manuel...
Poppins is just gonna put it back fixed.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Like
I don't think they're
the
literally gonna go
cousin-
back to the
yeah,
store. Like I think it's just gonna appear.
Exactly. That was my
Okay.
thought too. Like the cousin's just gonna place it because
Yeah.
Lin Manuel has never been in this alley before, and he lights all the lamps. So
Okay,
how are
good
these
point.
kids gonna find?
never noticed this one before, Larry. Oh, wait. Ask Stacy what you were going to ask her last night
Oh God. Okay.
with the kite. You want to first tell your story about your mom?
Our mom. You know when they look through the kite, they're like, "Look, this is your mother," and they hold the kite up to the light.
To
And they're
remind
like-
everybody, they're looking for the banknotes.
Yeah.
Kid gets his kite from the house
They're
as
like,
they're moving
"It's
out.
the certificate!"
Oh my god!
And my mom next to me like gasped, and I turned to her and I was like, "You cannot be serious." And then in the car, I asked my brother like, "Didn't you know like that was a certificate?"
And I
he
was like, sort
"Sort
of.
of."
I just didn't really think about it.
When Mary Poppins like hands the kid the wastebasket, like, "Take this outside,
See,
wink,
she already
wink."
did you already know? See, I don't.
I think every
I
normal
don't-
person knew.
No,
that.
I just think that we're when we watch things, we pay
No, you
attention
guys
to
are.
the smaller
I think you guys are
details.
better than the average person.
I'm
at
sorry,
that.
this is not a subtle like
I'm just.
Scandinavian
I just
Yeah,
don't.
but he's
twist
always
movie.
surprised.
I don't
like,
think
he's
ahead. I'm just
always
like in the
surprised.
movie. I'm like, what's gonna happen? I just
Always
get sucked
surprised.
into
Like
the
it
world.
never fails. Every movie we watch, he's like,
That's
"You knew
not
that was
true.
gonna." He's like, "You knew that was gonna happen, didn't you?" I was like, "Yeah."
I'm not always surprised. It's just you guys always figure it out like so early on, and I'm just
In the first
I
5 minutes of the movie, I'm
I
like, "Oh,
just
that's gonna
don't.
happen."
Yeah. So sometimes you are wrong,
I am sometimes.
but that story reminds me of Stacy. You and I, we watched that Bumblebee Transformers movie, and 15 minutes into the movie, Haley Steinfeld like
Oh my god.
undoes the tarp at the scrapyard, and there's the yellow beetle that's Bumblebee, and there was a guy in the audience, and he goes, I'm like, oh, so I just bumped my mic. I'm like, yeah, Bumblebee's, and like, did you not watch the trailer? Like, what did you think you were watching? He was like so surprised that, oh my god, she found Bumblebee. I'm like, oh lord, that's like a next level of special. And also, can we talk about, there seems to be an epidemic in this country of new mothers who have just had their child bringing their newborns into the movie.
We're not talking about this on set. This is like a very sensitive subject.
No, it's not. The last 3 movies I've gone to, there's been screaming kids, including these Mary Poppins movies, who are like half a year old.
There's a toddler in our thing.
And in this day of age of Netflix and online streaming, you can get whatever the hell you want in your living room. Like, there's just no excuse to bring your stupid screaming toddler into the movie theater. Like, put him to bed, go watch a movie at home until he's like 3 years old or something. You know, I'd like just figure it out. Be a good person. Be a better citizen. I'm sorry. It's just, it really bugs me.
So there's a detail I noticed that I always notice: the pearl necklace prop that the dad is playing with, and it reminds him of his wife.
We haven't talked in so long.
The pearls are uneven, and that never happens. Never. And I'm just ecstatic about it.
I noticed they were uneven, but I didn't think about it in that context.
I always notice it. Like in
Those are
Moana.
freshwater pearls.
What?
Right, but that's how they're supposed.
Those are freshwater pearls. Yeah.
No, because freshwater pearls they can manipulate to be any shape.
I'm just saying, but that's what they're.
It's just
That's
like
what they're.
raw.
I think that's what they're
raw
called.
pearls. Is that what it is?
Well, but in Moana, for example, she has a string of pearls on her costume. They're all symmetrical. I'm like, oh, sure, you just found all those perfectly symmetrical pearls in the ocean. Like, why would you even, like, why would that even register as something you want? Why do you identify pearls as something that needs to be round? Like, that's just a little thing, and I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate. This is a Disney movie, and Disney loves to put 5 million Easter eggs in through their movies and remind you about all the good times you had watching the first movie. Like in all the Star Wars movies they're making, they're like, blue milk, get it? You're like, yes, I've seen Star Wars. And they did such a nice job in this movie of just like not cramming those in your face. Like when he's up in the attic and you see the little letter boxes and there's the, you know, the kite still has his mother's like women's rights thing on as the suffragette thing on it. It's just all these little Easter eggs in the background, but it's not like cramming it into your face.
They don't have to like
because that stuff always takes me out of the movie. Like in The Force Awakens, they're like, "Oh, I'm the Millennium Falcon," and they start playing the little game there on the main. I'm just like, yeah, I could get it.
And the chess game
Star Wars.
is stopped exactly when it was stopped in episode 4, and I'm like, nobody's played this chess game in like 20 years. Is that what you're saying?
That stuff takes me out of the movie, and I'm just like, it's so dumb. Like.
The
they did a really nice job in this.
Thing, I think is interesting because every single song is mirrored in this except for the political sister suffragette song. Like the sister didn't have a song about like the Labor Party.
True. She didn't have it's a 2-hour-long movie and she didn't get a song. That is true.
Which I walked out of that theater and I was like, I could not tell you a single song right now.
I think that's the biggest problem with the movie.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I remember, and this is after watching it a second time, because after the first time, just like you, I walked out. I'm like, I want to hum a song, and I don't know. Nothing stuck. The only thing that stuck after watching it a second time was that London Sky song, which isn't even remotely to the best song in the movie. I think it's what starts and ends the movie, and I think the melody's slightly catchy. But yeah, they were all really fun and fine, but just none of them are that memorable at all. I
think it's a different era in terms of like back when Mary Poppins came about. It was like there was so many songs in movies that you had those writers that were like used to putting songs in movies, so they were like these phenomenal songs because that's what they did. They made songs for movies. And now it's like that's not really the case. So you don't have that. I feel like there's a lack of people that are able to like get that catchiness.
I don't buy that. You have Lin Manuel Miranda on this movie
Why didn't he?
He's written like the most memorable Broadway musical in the last 10 years, or one in the top 5.
I can sing all the Moana songs right now. Why didn't they ask him to help them with the music?
I just don't buy that. I think there's so much talent out there, and I just don't think it clicked on this movie as far as the songs go. And
well, I think the songs were fine. They weren't. You're comparing them to the original. It just.
No, that's also true. But
like
again,
literally, there's like
to
I can
point,
sing.
We
to
still have movies
day.
And musicals that pump out memorable. There's no shortage of memorable songs around. It just didn't really. It's just a little weird that there wasn't a single one in this movie.
I did like the ceiling song, which is like
ceiling song.
When they have tea on the top of the ceiling, which is now mirrored with the cousin Meryl Streep, who's like where everything is upside down. That song was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
And that's what I'm saying. All the numbers, the dancing, everything's super fun, and I like it's. There's not a bad song in the movie. It's just they're not memorable. I don't know.
There's like 20 of them in the first one.
Yeah, it's like Let's Fly a Kite, Tuppence, Spoonful of Sugar. None of those like
Holiday,
memorable lines even within the song.
Mm-hmm.
But then they tried, for example, in the Porcelain Bowl song when they are in the carriage, the rhyming and the rhythm is exactly like supercalifragilistic.
Okay.
So they did such a great job of not copying and mirroring everything. But then it's still maybe I just need to see it more because like for example the Step in Time, which was in this case the Lamplighters dance number with the ladders and the bikes,
Step in Time being when all the chimney sweepers in the
Yeah.
first movie. Yeah, which
That
is
was
the best
incredible.
number. Yeah.
That was incredible. I love how they copied that. Like, I love Mary
You know
Poppins
that scene
dancing.
originally in the first one was only supposed to be like super short, and they like extended it
It's like
to like
such
10
a
minute.
long.
Yeah, because Walt did Walt
And talking about
Disney, like,
ridiculous.
basically called and was like, "You're gonna extend this and this," and it ended up making it perfect.
Talking about ridiculous. Don't the chimney sweepers end up like jumping into the chimney? They come out of the fireplace.
The
The first movie
silhouettes?
is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm saying they come out of the fireplace in the first movie. Like I just like thinking back on it now, it is probably more ridiculous than this movie.
Oh, way more
Yeah.
ridiculous. I feel like that's part
But yeah,
of
when
its
they
charm.
come down and all the lamplighters are just black silhouettes and they're like in their pose, I'm like, that's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they got their
Oh,
little
that was
BMX
such a-
bikes. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a nice little twist. No, you're right. They didn't copy it. They just did their own version of stuff and just were inspired by the first movie. And I think that's, as far as sequels go, like this got to be in the top 10, right?
Yeah. I think it was an incredibly hard task to take on
You
to
have
begin with, and to master it the way they did. I give them props.
like it's one thing to have people do a sequel that worked on the first movie, which obviously in this case you don't have. It was forever ago, so you have all new people just inspired by this original material, and I mean, how many remakes or sequels are there now that are so many years later that just kind of fall flat?
A
you
lot.
know?
It's just in the background they would play the original songs, but
Yeah,
just the melody.
sometimes, yep.
And then sometimes it just made me go, oh, but I just want to listen to those instead of
Yeah.
these
Yeah,
songs,
like,
which
oh,
isn't
just a bit of
fair. Like, but that's
And
how
that's
I felt.
that's the thing. Like coming out of it the first time, I was comparing the music so harshly against the first movie, and then I'm like, well, that's really not fair because the first movie, it's like one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. Like so, like how can you hold any movie to that standard? It's just you're not gonna be able to repeat that.
So how did you guys feel about Emily Blunt or Mary Poppins being a little more calculating and conniving instead of just an influencer?
I wrote that down in my notes.
Because I didn't mind that, but I
No,
can
not at all.
understand because it's more in this movie about an outside threat and not like we're fixing the family, we're
Right.
fixing the
Right.
dad. It's more like we're going up against evil Mr. Darcy.
Mm-hmm.
So
I thought it didn't bother me. I don't
No,
even
me
remember like
neither.
acknowledging it until afterwards when I was reading that she based it off the books rather than Julie Andrews' performance, which I think is essential.
I noticed that even more watching it. There's a lot of stuff I know. It's worth a repeat viewing for sure. But just how much I noticed it a little bit seeing the first time, but then the second time around, I'm just like, just noticing how much she's like an evil mastermind.
yeah,
She's just constantly messing with everything, and she just knows the outcome of it. Like I didn't catch the first time that she grabs Michael's suitcase. So
where
then
have you
she
been, bro?
I'm sorry, I only caught that the second time. But just how like manipulating she is in this movie, yeah, I don't mind it at all. She's just an evil genius. It's like I'm gonna do what I
Also,
want.
to my point, he doesn't even notice his briefcase
Oh,
is gone.
he's an artist, darling.
He's yeah, should not be working at that bank.
Yeah, no, I thought that was a nice twist on Mary Poppins for sure. Just how much.
Well, I think it was. I feel like if she would have played it any differently, like and not gone off of the actual books and tried to like mock Julie, and I think she would have failed. Like I think you can't. She needed to put her own twist on it because
Emily
you can't.
Blunt does not fail.
Well, that's my point.
Kind of tying it back with the songs. The one thing I did miss. So in the first movie, I think the scene that has always stood out the most to me is when this movie takes just a really serious turn when the dad loses his job and it's just gloom and he's standing in front of the big bank doors. You remember that? And he's itching his foot a little with his other foot, and there's just this dramatic music in the background followed like tied in with the Tuppence song, and it's just this big dramatic like piece in this movie. And I think Mary Poppins Returns switches that out for the whole Big Ben sequence. It would be around that same time, I think, Which the Big Ben sequence is a lot of fun, and it's over the top, and it's ridiculous that these guys climb Big Ben with their ladders. But part of me also missed, like, okay, so this movie's just kind of 2 hours of a lot of fun, and I like being in this world, but I missed a little bit. I think the most serious the movie gets is when I think the dad cries in front of everybody, right? He's like, I can't handle this anymore. But yeah, I missed that, like that Tuppence song. I still, yeah, sort of the climax. I don't know. Just a big, like, bringing it down to earth more. I don't know.
Because the Big Ben thing, that is my least favorite trope. It's the dumb time limit trope, which they did in, like, The Force Awakens, because they're like, oh, in the first one, the Death Star was going to do its thing in half an hour, but now we're going to do it in 10 minutes, and they do, like, an entire day's worth of work in, like, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And this one, it's like, oh, we have 7 minutes till 12, so they drive over there, then they climb Big Ben in, 5 minutes? But the whole time I'm like, can't Mary Poppins fly? And then she flies up there anyway. So I was like, well, what was the point of that? Like, that was the one thing where I was like, this isn't jiving with me.
Yeah. But that's, and I don't know, like, what you change out, because I still really love the movie, but that's just the one thing I noticed. They kind of traded a really big dramatic scene from the first one for now, like, this big fun Big Ben sequence. So I don't know.
But I think another review that I read did talk about the dad in the original one and just how much weight his transformation had within the family.
Yeah.
And to me, the Let's Go Fly a Kite you can't hold that against the balloon scene, because the balloon scene to me is just sugar without substance.
Yeah.
Because we've already had the dad, like, the significant moment of this movie is the dad leaving the office and going, I don't need my house. I have everything I need.
Right.
You know? So, like, you already had that moment. So it's just the balloon scene didn't.
If you were going to do the transformation, it should have been for Colin Firth's character, but I don't know that that's really fitting the way they set everything up.
And he doesn't. Like, he holds the balloon.
Well, and that's the thing I wrote down. I'm like, in the end, everyone's flying, and you're in mid-song, and it cuts away from all of that, and you see Colin Firth, and he tries to do the balloon thing. I'm just like, I didn't really need that. Like, this character's not transforming. I don't need to see him try to do the like. I know it's not gonna work, and you just cut away in mid song, and then it goes back. It's just weirdly distracting. It was like, all right, well, we booked Colin Firth for this many days, and we paid him this much, so why don't we do one more scene with him? Like, that's what it felt like to me.
I did love how he rips the page out of the book.
Yeah,
it's such a dance-like movement.
No.
And you knew before that he was evil, you know?
Oh, yeah, you know right away.
But still, I love that.
Can I say that Colin Firth's voice, as he's getting older and even more sexy, he's becoming like a British George Clooney, and I think his voice, it's getting that hint of raspiness. He's always had this, like, tangy British voice, and now it's getting slightly, there's like a little George Clooney raspiness. It's just... He's a British George Clooney, I think.
I like it.
No?
I like it. Yeah.
He's just got one of those voices. Like, when he's playing the wolf in the Ceramic Bowl, you're just like, oh, yeah, that's Colin Firth's voice.
Yeah, nice.
He's just got unmistakable voice now. I don't know. I think it's great.
Stacey,
you go, Colin.
Did you think Meryl Streep's song was a period song? Because that's all I could think of. And then they were like, my family was like, no, she's too old to be on her period.
Goes
and
once
like,
a month, every second Wednesday. She's in a
like,
funk.
everything goes upside down. I'm like, is this a period song?
Of course you would relate to that. And then I'm like, no, she's like over 60 years old in the movie.
Yeah, I don't
she
think
wouldn't have her
that you
period.
could possibly have a period.
I had very creative thinking.
But yes, Tubby, it's
I
an
don't know
interesting perspective.
I was like, okay,
I told
Meryl.
Tubby she's just in a gypsy funk
At
once a
first,
month.
when you asked me that question, I thought you were like talking about like a period, like a time period.
No.
And then I realized what they were talking about, and I was like, oh no.
Never mind that. I don't know if Disney would greenlight a song about menstruating.
but the song with the cover's not a book. There's some saucy things in that song.
Sure.
I was like, whoa.
Which, that might be my favorite, like, dance number altogether. But I couldn't tell you what the melody of that song is.
Oh, the
I
cover's
just love,
not a book.
I just love Lin Manuel. God, I cannot say his name. Lin Manuel Miranda's part in that song, where it's just he starts doing his thing where he's like halfway rapping. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
That's like his signature move. all his movements, and I just thought it was fantastic. I don't know.
I do want to talk about him and the
I guess I'm saying I don't know so much.
The relationship with the sister. I thought they were really adorable. I loved their meet cute of bumping into one another. That always works.
I think he's gonna end up in the friend zone though. I'm not feeling it.
That's the thing. Like I never felt any chemistry between those two actors. But it is quite significant, and the movie doesn't touch on this at all. That Jane is with a working class man who doesn't have a learned profession, and they're in such different social.
Also, she's like in her 30s and not married, which wouldn't that be like looked down upon?
I don't know, but she's like trying to be a little more progressive, and she wears pants, and she, goes to the labor union, and he's like, "Wow, that's hot, girl."
He's like, man,
Workers'
appreciate all your work.
But I just thought it was significant that the whole family is just really chill with it, and they're excellent people, and I don't know if that would be real life, but...
Was lamplighter a real profession, by the way? Did we look this up?
Yep, it's a real profession.
That's all they did. They just lit and unlit lamps all day.
Yeah.
Wow. How long did that last until they could figure out, hey, we could turn, like, in the Big Ben thing, when you just turn one thing and all the lights come on? That was probably a job for like 5 years until they were like, yeah, how about we not pay all these people?
That was back in the Middle Ages. That one and the Night Watch were really looked down upon jobs because anything to do with like the darkness or the night was like considered bad. And so if you had that job, you were in a very low like social kind of.
Not these lamplighters.
Oh,
They're all having a good old time.
They're like, depression, what?
We got safe government jobs. We sing and dance and we talk in riddles.
We have a free moving company. We talk in riddles.
I thought Emily Blunt and Lin Manuel had just fantastic chemistry. I don't know if you felt that.
They were good.
I thought they were great together.
Yeah, they really were.
Just all their dancing and singing together. They were just a good pair. Good couple.
I like how they didn't make it a romantic like they did in the first one, kind of like.
Did they do that in the first one?
I don't know. I always got a feeling that there was something like
they were getting it on.
Yeah, like.
Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, Dick Van Dyke and they were totally.
There's a whole song about it.
And this one, they like didn't. I kind of like that they didn't do that because I feel like it would have like pissed off
it's
people.
Like she cheated on Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah. So
really?
I think it was interesting.
She can never have a relationship again.
No,
she's with Dick Van Dyke.
That's who she's with.
I think Mary Poppins is very asexual. I don't
very
see her
aromantic,
doing anything. Yeah.
Representation.
And she's slightly. Doesn't she seem like slightly sad and somber during parts of this movie?
At the end,
right?
yeah.
She's just like, well, it's the life I chose, flying through the clouds in my umbrella.
And the balloon lady like sneaks up on her like, nobody cares about you.
Wait, what? What are you talking about?
I'm exaggerating. Mary Poppins flies away. She's like,
no, she's
yeah,
just
girl,
like,
you're right. Nobody cares. And then she flies away.
I actually see her very much as like a modern Jesus, where she's just completely selfless. She sacrifices all her time and energy to help all these other people, and she's like, this is what I do, and she flies away. But there's just this little part of her, it's like she sees the family walk away, she's like, oh, it'd be nice to have a family, but nope, no, that's not me. It's like time. She's like, it's time to go, it's time to help someone else.
Into this a little bit.
No, or like, so there was that when she's sort of sadly looking at the distance, and there's also after she fixes the bowl, and the kids like get up and like, look, the bowl's fixed.
Oh, and she's
and then the kid's like, we should tell Mary, and the daughter's like, I suspect she already knows, and then you see Mary Poppins, she's just like, like behind the other door, like, why are you so sad? I don't know. You didn't notice that?
Yeah.
Can I say that I wish there would have been more interaction between the children and the dad, because Mary Poppins says, oh, I'm here primarily for the original Banks children. She's like, oh, yeah, you too. But then there wasn't a lot of that. She was just spending a lot of time with the younger kids.
Yeah.
So I would have wished just for that to...
No, but she takes care of the younger kids, so then the younger kids can take care of the dad, because because then the dad goes, I thought I was taking care of them. Turns out they're taking care of me this whole time.
Yeah, but isn't that the problem, that he can't get his act together and the kids are growing up too fast?
But
and Mary
that's
Poppins
how
is like, I'm gonna
she
fix
shows
that.
him indirectly that to get his act together, no?
Yeah.
Which he's rich now.
There's that
so it doesn't matter.
mastermind.
Evil,
Machiavellian
evil,
Mary
selfless
Poppins.
mastermind Mary Poppins. No, I just think those couple glimpses into her sadness, so to speak. It just
Humanize her?
it humanizes
Yeah.
the character more.
I did have a problem with the wise child trope in this one, and that trope never bothers me.
Wait,
Come
again.
It's when children act like adults and they're not children.
Sure.
And it happens in a lot of movies, and like in Nice Guys, I don't mind it. It makes sense to me in that
Okay,
movie.
like how in this movie?
It was so over the top that I didn't feel like the children were real children, because they're 6 years old and they're acting as parents. They're worrying and even understanding what losing the house means. They're making plans on what to do about it. They have these very adult
I'm not with you there. Like
feelings.
their
No.
mom died. They're like they just know how to help out. They're very much like
I just don't think if a 6-year-old's mom dies a year before, they're now fine and acting as adults. I didn't see enough of
no,
like
but because the
grieving
dad's such a
there.
hot mess, they all the kids gonna have to stick together and be like
I
just
think
kind of
that
help out.
I
no?
think that you have a very limited like a limited experience with children, and especially during traumatic things. And I can tell you that it's totally believable.
That all of them are like that. I believed it in the older girl. I did not believe it in the 5-year-old kid.
Really?
Like when the dad is yelling at them, they're all just knitting their brows and standing there, and I'm like, one of them would start crying. If this was real life,
Oh sure.
one of the kids
Yeah,
would start
I see what you're
crying
saying.
and have, because these children all, I looked this up on a therapist
Okay,
website.
come on.
All the kids have very like inside and outside feelings, and with the exception of the daughter, kids that young don't make those distinctions very easily. So like the things they feel usually come out, and they can't really control them all that well. And like the younger children at that age often like are just beginning to understand what death even is, like, or what that concept is of like somebody dying and going away.
Okay. I also remember these kids are raised in London, so all their feelings are pushed down.
I just think it would have been more realistic to me if it was like the daughter had to take over and was like, I know how to take care of myself. F off, Mary Poppins.
Oh snap!
Like, I've been taking care of this family since.
That's true. They did buy into. They had that for a second, then they're like, "Oh, we took a bath. We
I
love
just
you
didn't
now."
buy all the kids, especially because she was at a higher developmental stage where you do have those more hidden feelings and you kind of figure things out more. Like, it would have made more sense if at least the other two kids were a little bit more like children and less like adults, if that makes
okay.
sense. But I don't know. I just thought, yeah,
Okay. What else?
get your act together, Dad.
Covered a lot.
Yeah, that's kind of all I had.
What else? I'm looking over my notes. Stacy, what you got?
I pretty much covered everything I had to say.
I love this movie, and I will watch it again. And I enjoyed it even more watching it a second time.
I like the old-timey cartoons that they
Yeah.
didn't try to update it, and it wasn't like,
Yeah.
Toy Story or something.
Yeah, when I saw that in the trailer, I was like, yes, like keeping with the kind of the same art style. But at the same time, you had a contrast because you have kind of all the special effects in the bathtub swimming scene. So that's all modern special effects. And then they also do the old school stuff. I thought it was a really nice touch and mix of things. Yeah, the special effects, they're like, everyone's always constantly floating in this movie, and it looks really good. Like, I know these people are on wires, but like they did a really nice job with the special effects.
Can I just do a shout out to the best character in this movie, who was the solicitor?
Umbrella? What?
No,
Just kidding.
the solicitor who's like has a heart of gold.
Yeah, not solicitor. He's a lawyer.
They call them solicitors.
Do they? Oh, one thing I noticed watching it a second time, because I was looking in the background a lot more. When they're going to the concert hall and they're in the bowl, and she starts spinning her umbrella, and then the concert hall appears. And I'm looking at all the animals in the background, and it shows them from the front walking towards the camera. And I'm looking at the animals in the back, and I saw the cutest thing. It was this zebra that it like gets this bag of popcorn from the stand, and it just kind of starts munching on the popcorn with this little zebra like horse mouth. I was like, mwah, mwah. Like next time you watch it, you have to pay attention to it because it was really funny. Get a little kick out of it. You know how like horses eat? They got these like kind of flappy lips, big mouth, right? And it's just this zebra like munching down on this popcorn. It's just like nice little details all around. It's just like, yeah, someone has to draw all that, right?
Yeah,
all these like background things.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Any final thoughts? Everyone good?
I'm good.
What do you give it out of 10 points? What do you give it?
A 9 out of 10.
Stacey's checked out. She's on her phone. She's not here with us
looking
anymore.
something up.
You've been looking something up for the last 45 minutes. Tubby, 8 out of 10? 7 out of 10? What do you got?
Yeah, I don't know, 8, 9.
I don't know, man. 8.5. You can find us, as always, on Twitter, on Instagram, at Modern Life Pod. You can email us at modernlifepod@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, download it. If you want to leave a comment on like the Apple Store or whatever, rate the podcast. That always helps. What are we doing next? Do we know?
We don't.
Actually, I think I do. I want to do a podcast with Stacy. We're going to do one long.
Oh yeah.
We had just a whole hour of modern thoughts a few weeks ago, and I think I got a bunch of stuff to talk about. We've been watching a lot of movies lately, and we had the holidays and the New Year, and I had an interesting sleeping situation last night that I need to talk about.
That just sounds creepy.
Yeah.
Just for the record, maybe not lead with that.
I didn't lead with it. I snagged it on the...
Whatever you're doing, just don't do it again.
It was an interesting sleeping situation, and you weren't involved, Stacy.
Oh, no.
Anyways, we'll catch you guys soon. Bye!